Hi there. So at this point, you've been introduced to ContextAR and you have a basic understanding of what it does and how it works. Basically, the app lets a device mediate an interaction between an expert and a novice, or a teacher and a student. But you may be wondering how the app may be used in a practical setting. How can ContextAR be used in an actual language class? What would this even look like? I'd like to offer three scenarios illustrating how the app can be used to complement a language curriculum or learning plan. But hopefully, by the time I'm done, it's going to be clear how versatile Context AR is and how many ways it could be used. At the beginning of an academic term that will largely be taught online and or remotely, teachers are confronted with the challenge of engaging their students with authentic material without many of the tools they're accustomed to. Public and private institutions alike are scrambling to find different approaches, and language teachers in particular are having a hard time finding ways to connect with their students outside of the traditional classroom setting. Context AR can give teachers a way of bringing their students together, so to speak, while still allowing for social distancing. For instance, one language teaching method, known as the language experience approach, introduces learning material through some shared experience, such as a field trip, for instance. In other words, students go on a field trip and then collaboratively write a narrative describing the trip. This narrative then provides the basis for a following set of lesson plans. A Context AR module could be used in a similar way, but instead of students taking the trip all at once, they'd be able to do it individually while sharing the experience with their colleagues. Another use for Context AR could be in a content language integrated classroom. Okay, so while less common in the United States, in most European and much of Latin America, schools often combine language classes with other subjects such as math, history, or geography. This app would be a perfect complement for a curriculum combining language and geography. After all, if the study of geography encompasses the arrangement and distributions of features in people, how better to understand these distributions than by witnessing them firsthand? Context AR allows language students to use these geographic features and distributions as subject matter for language lessons. So this app may be really helpful as a remote learning tool and or to complement a language content integrated classroom. However, because of the app's simplicity, it could really be used in all sorts of different and interesting ways. Take Azumi, for example. Azumi works for a private college that specializes in providing visiting scholars with intensive English education. 3 or 4 times a year, she has to show a large group of these visiting students how to use the public transportation system in Portland, and she invariably receives phone calls from lost and frantic students unable to navigate the strange city. Context AR would allow Azumi to set up modules guiding students through their initial public transportation experiences. Now, this is just one example of a way the app could come in handy for a very specific problem, but there are clearly many, many more uses for it as well. There is no one single best use for the app, but there are a number of obvious and apparent ways that it could be used. I've listed a couple, but it's really designed to be as versatile as possible, and I think its potential uses are virtually endless. If you have any questions relating to how the app can be used for education, please feel free to reach out to me at scully.pdx.edu. And thanks for listening.